What's up? It's Jeep J, back with another Jeep Talks. Had some time to reflect this week, and I had a few things on my mind that I figured I can share because, somebody might have these thoughts or may need to hear these things from somebody else or, learn from someone else's mistakes. So, I just thought I'd share. And the first thing I wanted to share, because this is more recent, I recently did like a balance transfer on my only credit card. I've only had one credit card. I'm 32, and that's not a bad thing. Not necessarily a good thing, because if you know how to use your credit card, you don't have to be stuck with one. Because as I've gotten older, I've learned that different credit cards are for different uses. Like, you might have a card that's good for gas and restaurants. You get points back, which turns into cash or credits on your bill. They have travel credit cards. They have credit cards for pretty much every category. And, I just wish I knew, first off, not to just go crazy with your credit card. And it's nobody's fault but mine. My mom, she actually hooked me up when I was younger. She made me an authorized user on her card. It was like an American Express card, which set me up because I had, through her, I had like 700 credit score, from the gate. So that helped me out a lot. But then when I got my own credit card, your boy was swiping, ordering, eating, whatever you could think I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I just wish I knew how to use it properly. I wish I was more responsible using the card. And my card that I did have, it gave me points back for gas and restaurants. And, I would eat out a lot. I would go out to restaurants, go out on dates, get gas. At the time, probably filling my mom's gas tank up. And I could have been using that card to get points back. It's not, it's not a crazy amount of money, but that's how you would use the card responsibly. And that's a incentive to use the card. So if you're a younger person, male or female, whatever, and you're thinking about getting a credit card, first, I would say don't overspend. When you get that credit card, it's like, wait, I can just spend and pay it back when I get the money. And it sounds good and easy until you just keep spending. And next thing you know, your balance is high. You know what I mean? And for credit, the credit bureaus, they want to see that you're only using about 1/3 of your balance available. So let's just say you have $10,000. They don't want to see you pretty much go over a $300, max, or a $300 amount. Pretty much. They, that 30% is pretty much, I think, healthy credit. I'm not a credit guru, but this is what I've heard over the years, And so I recently just did a balance transfer to just wipe out what I had on my credit card. And yeah, these are just things I wish I knew, honestly. So hopefully somebody can learn from this. Don't overspend. If you're going to get a card, learn what benefits come with that card. There's plenty of YouTube videos out now of real credit card experts. So I would definitely recommend you just doing your due diligence, budget your money. I know it might be difficult because when you're younger, you might not have the money. So you're getting the credit card because you don't have the money and you need certain things or whatever. But just try to be as responsible as possible. Nobody is perfect, man. And, it's 2026. It's not easy, bro. It's really not easy, especially if you're living in a big city. Everything is expensive. Everything costs. You come outside, you're spending $100. Like in New York, that's like the going joke. To come outside, it's $100. And it's almost true because if you're driving, you're at risk of getting a speed camera ticket. You have to park. You can get a ticket for that if you're not back in time or if you don't pay for parking. Restaurants are super expensive these days, which is not all their fault. It's just the cost of living in New York and the food. Everything has gone up, honestly. And it's kind of weird because, like, at what point is it going to stop? Like, at what point are they going to be like, okay, we're good? Hey, yo. But, yeah, I just want to say that about the credit cards. The number 2 thing I wish I knew was to stay in shape, bro. Stay in shape. I'm not saying you have to be Mr. Olympia. I'm not saying you have to be super shredded all year round. I know how it goes with the food. But if you can, if you're in high school and you're going to college, if you're in college and you're transitioning into the real world, you know, or if you're not getting your master's or something, like, once you're transitioning to the real world and you don't have that same luxury of having the time to go work out, if you were a former athlete in high school or college and you kind of had to work out, there was no choice if you wanted to make the team, or if you were on a team, there's scheduled workouts. Obviously, you're playing games, you're burning so many calories, and you're still young, so your metabolism is still fairly high. Bro, once you leave college, if you're not one of those people that always have a high metabolism, which is like kind of rare, some people just have those good genetics where it's like they can eat whatever they want, whenever they want, and they won't gain, you know, a ton of fat. So I would recommend staying in shape as best you can. Not saying you got to be out there running hill sprints like they had us do, running 110s in 100-degree weather or whatever, but maintain your health, bro. Because first off, once you get older, most people's metabolism slows down. Once you don't have to go to practice, you know, at least for me, I didn't have to go to practice, man. It felt like you were free, honestly. It's like, yo, I don't got to wake up for morning runs. You don't got to wake up for lifts. You don't have practice after school. You don't got to get hit. Like, your body is almost like happy that you don't have to do all those things. And it's good if you're especially if you're playing like a physical sport. Your body definitely needs that break at some point. But, you know, I looked up one day during the pandemic and I was 250 pounds, bro. And luckily I'm 6'2", so it didn't look that crazy. But if you knew me from years, I would hear people like, damn, Jay, like, what, you in the gym? You getting big? It wasn't in the gym, man. I was just eating. And I was in the gym periodically. I would have my spurts where I would work out and then eat, work out. And, you know, another thing is when you are playing sports and you're young, you have the luxury of kind of eating anything you want and being okay because you're burning so many calories that it never catches up with you. I remember a time where I wanted to gain weight and I wanted to be 200 pounds. I couldn't get over like 193. And I'm like, damn, I can't get to 200. First off, I didn't really know I had to like bulk up and continue to eat a whole bunch of stuff and get your protein in and stuff like that. I didn't know the nutritional side of that. But, you know, I would just be like, yo, I'm eating anything I want and I'm not gaining a pound. But that was because I was burning so many calories at practice and in the weight room. Every day I'm running, I'm lifting, I'm doing something active, playing basketball, something. So you're burning so many calories. You know, those bad habits, the bad eating habits never catch up with you, bro. So, yeah, I woke up one day and during the pandemic, your boy was 250. I saw stretch marks on the side of my stomach. I'm like, what in the heck happened? That was like my wake-up call. Granted, I didn't fully wake up if, you know, I didn't lose the weight immediately. I'm like still in the process right now of losing some of that weight. I'm definitely not 250. I'm 230 now. So, you know, your boy lost 20 pounds this year, which I'm very happy about. It feels so much better. It feels so good to be able to just like fit into some clothes that were getting tight and uncomfortable. So, bro, or girls, you know, it happens with all young people. You think you can just eat how you want. You got a good physique now. especially like, you know, with women and their hormones. Like, bro, you gotta watch what you eat. Trust me. And anybody, you know, my age, 30s or older, will tell you the same thing. It's not a joke. Like, that weight will come onto you and it'll stick. The weight that, you know, your body was just burning just by you falling asleep when you were younger, that's gonna stay. So that was my second point. Like, yo, stay in shape as best as you can. Watch your weight and, you know, be healthy. And the third thing I was thinking of, just reflecting, seeing what I could, you know, talk to you guys that I've gone through. I want to be as genuine as possible. I just want to make content. I want to talk to you about myself. And one thing I have been disappointed in myself reflecting is being consistent in life. And I guess that goes hand in hand with discipline. Like, even during the pandemic, to go back to that, I was doing a cooking show on YouTube. I was cooking, I was getting decent views. I still had a job. I was working at T-Mobile at the time. And, you know, I always get people like my mom's friends, or my mom always mentioned like, oh, if you would have just kept with the cooking, because there's other people that she watches that kind of, I guess, were growing during that time. Content was booming during the pandemic. So everybody was on YouTube. Everybody had a podcast. Everybody was doing something because everyone was in the house. So why not do something? And, you know, pandemic was bad in many ways, but in that way, I think it was good. It introduced us to a bunch of new content creators. But being disciplined and consistent is super important in life, you know, because just thinking of it now, who knows where, you know, my cooking show would have been. I still enjoy cooking. I cook all the time. I try new dishes, and it's just like, man, if I had stayed with, you know, that cooking show, if I had been consistent, if I had just kept my head down and kept working, where would you have been, right? Maybe you wouldn't have needed a job. Maybe, you know, there's so many verticals you can have when you have that foundation of, you know, you have a bunch of supporters on YouTube and things like that. You could I see guys making their own seasoning. It's super easy to do that once you have a fan base. Cookbook is super easy to do. You know, I'm sure somebody could do cooking classes. So many verticals you can do, you know, if you have the platform and the fan base. So, you know, not always, but I think about that sometimes because I've been posting on YouTube. I have a different channel where I do reactions and things like this. I just started this Jeep J channel when I got the Jeep a couple months ago, but, you know, I sometimes I think like, damn, I'm struggling with these views. I'm struggling to get new subscribers, and it makes you just think like, damn, what could have been with the cooking? So staying disciplined and staying consistent is super important, especially when you're young. You know, you want to have those attributes growing up because it'll lead to success. I'm not saying you'll be a gazillionaire because you're consistent and disciplined, but you'll be a lot better off than someone that's not consistent and disciplined. You know, you're mentally sharper. You know, you can use discipline and consistency in pretty much every aspect of life. You can stay disciplined with your diet. Like I was saying, don't gain that weight after high school and college. You can stay consistent with your YouTube. You can stay consistent with your diet. You can stay consistent with your savings, things like that. So discipline and consistency is something I wish I would have, you know, been more of, pretty much, you know. So I'm 32. It's never too late to get disciplined. You can be disciplined right now. You can say, damn, maybe somebody's listening to this and say, damn, I didn't have to eat that cookie. I'm not eating any more Oreos. Things like that. You know what I mean? It can start today. You can be consistent today, literally. You don't have to, it's not a huge, well, it could be a huge change, but it's not something you can't do. It's something very doable, even if you make small changes. Okay, you usually have 2 packs of cookies. Have 1 pack of cookies. It starts like that. And then once you're consistent, it'll snowball. And then it'll be like nothing. As of late, the last couple months, I've been doing 1 meal a day, which I used to always eat 1 meal a day anyway, depending on work, and because you don't really have time. I didn't have time to eat during the day sometimes, or if work ran late, I'm eating, my first meal, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever the case may be. Don't always want to eat breakfast. I feel like sometimes, depending on what you eat, breakfast, it slows you down pretty much sometimes. Especially how I was eating a little bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel, those heavy breakfasts, right? So, just get disciplined, stay consistent. And I'm telling you, life would be a lot better. Trust me, man. So I just wanted to leave you guys with those 3 things. Hopefully, I can connect with somebody. I can, I help someone, because sometimes you just need information, bro. Honestly, information is everything. You just need to hear certain things from certain people, and it just has to be the right time. So just to go over what I spoke about this video, don't go crazy on your credit card. Stay in shape as best as you can, and stay consistent, stay disciplined. And if you're not already consistent, and if you're not already disciplined, get disciplined and start being consistent. Doesn't take much. I promise you. You'll look back and thank yourself. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. And we'll be back in the Jeep for another Jeep Talk next week, man. It's your boy Jeep J. Have a good one. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.